everyone. Today I'm going to be making one of our new Harvest of the Month recipes for Leafy Greens Month. And we celebrate leafy greens in the month of June because here in Maine that's sort of the start of the fresh produce season, and the first things that our farms are often harvesting are those delicious, colorful leafy greens. So we have two recipes that we developed for the recent school year, and the one I'm going to start with is our Three Sisters salad. So it's pretty simple. I'm going to start off by roasting off some butternut squash that I have here. We have a great video on how to safely peel and dice butternut squash, so check that out. Throw that into the oven and then assemble the rest of our salad. And both of the recipes that we're doing today use this local baby romaine lettuce. So there's these cute little romaine lettuce heads. So they're, maybe a quarter of the size of the romaine that we're used to seeing. And these are grown using a system called aquaponics. So it's a water-based system. It doesn't use soil. And they're grown right here in Maine year-round. So that's a really cool local ingredient that we're going to use in our recipes. So I've got the squash here. I'm going to give it a little bit of a bath in some olive oil, a little bit of salt, toss that around, and I've got my oven preheated for me at 400 degrees. And I'm going to roast these off and then finish off our salad. All right, so our squash is cooking in the oven right now, and I'm going to prep up our red onion and our baby romaine. So when the squash is done cooking, I'm going to let that cool a little bit, and then we're really just combining all of these ingredients. So red onion, I think we're just going to dice it, small dice. So red onion is one of those ingredients where I feel like when I get a salad at a restaurant and it's just giant chunks of red onion, those immediately go to the side of my plate and I don't eat them because I know that if I take one bite of that red onion, everything I taste for the rest of my meal is going to be oniony. So when we're not cooking the onion and it's being served raw like this, I really take the time to dice it very small. So you get a bite with a bunch of little chunks of red onion versus a bite that's just all red onion. So I'm taking my knife here and I'm just slicing horizontal and then coming in and doing vertical, maybe like half-inch slices here, like that. And then across into just small dice. And this recipe also, it's got just a really simple dressing of balsamic vinegar and olive oil. So that vinegar is also really going to help kind of tenderize the onion and break down some of that harshness in it. So this salad is really great chilling overnight and then serve the next day because it kind of cools down the onion flavors and all the ingredients combine really nicely. So I've got my quarter cup of diced red onion here. That looks about right. I'll use that for something else. And then I'm going to add these are just canned Great Northern beans. And here in Maine, we do have awesome local beans. So if you want to take the time to buy dried beans and soak them and cook them, you can certainly do that. Mix that in. And then I just use frozen corn. You can use frozen corn, you can use canned corn, you can use fresh corn if you have it in the summertime, that's even better. You just cut it right off the cob and boil it up so it's nice and cooked. Gonna mix that. All right, and then we're going to take some of this really cute baby romaine, and this has already been washed, and it's also, like I said, it's grown in aquaponics. It's grown in water, not soil, so you're really just washing it because somebody picked this with their hands, but you don't have to worry about any dirt on this because it never saw any dirt in its life. So I'm just gonna chop this up. And I'm going to keep that separately. We're not going to mix the lettuce in with all of our ingredients. We're going to serve sort of this tossed salad on top of the lettuce. But that's how you'd serve it, just kind of nicely chopped like that. And then we've got our balsamic dressing. We're just going to do a tablespoon right in here. You could use just a regular apple cider vinegar, but I think the balsamic is adds a nice sort of depth of flavor here. Mix that in. Add a tablespoon of olive oil. Give that a mix. And so that's pretty much it. And once our squash is done cooking and it's cooled, I'm going to mix that in as well. So I'll tackle that in a bit. But the Three Sisters salad, which is the name of this recipe, and we got this one from the Wisconsin Farm to School and healthyschoolrecipes.com, which is a great website to check out. But Three Sisters is basically a technique for Native Americans, indigenous people here, where they grow squash, corn, and beans together, like right next to each other in their garden, and they all sort of support each other. You know, the squash, which likes to crawl around, sort of climbs up the corn stalks, but it also prevents weeds from growing, and then they all really complement each other with the nutrients that they're both putting into the soil and taking from the soil. So you often do hear Three Sisters, and there's some really cool farm to school lessons and activities and more recipes around that idea. So I'm going to check on our squash, and we're going to see where we're at with a salad. All right, so to finish up our Three Sisters salad recipe, we have our roasted butternut squash that has cooled and is ready to be combined with our beans and our corn, like that. So this would be a great one to serve chilled on your salad bar. That might be a nice spot for it. Right now we're going to serve it with some of that local romaine. So I'm just going to make like a little bed on the plate. Scoop it out, and at this point, that balsamic vinegar has been with the red onion enough where it's probably broken down some of the harshness, and I'm sure that those flavors are tasting really good. And that's our Three Sisters salad.